Hello and welcome to this training on how to achieve a grade 6, 7, 8 or 9 in your GCSE maths using this simple 3-step GCSE boost method and achieving those results in the next 6 months. Now, this training is for you if you're a parent of a teenager who's probably doing pretty well in all his or her other subjects, but perhaps maths is just a little bit of a problem. And you want to get, or you need, or he or she knows that he needs a grade 6 or better for whatever he or she wants to do when they've finished their GCSEs. You may have come to the conclusion that you're not getting the right sort of support at school, and you're thinking that GCSE maths might hold your son or daughter back. Or maybe you just want to reach new heights because you know additional support is the key to getting the grade 6 or higher, especially those really high grades when you're talking about grades 8 or 9. Maybe you've been watching your son or daughter, though, get tearful or frustrated or even avoid maths homework. And perhaps you know or have heard from school that grades are slipping compared to other subjects that he or she's doing really well in. Possibly you can even remember being stood up in a class in maths and being asked a question you couldn't possibly answer and felt like everyone was looking at you. And you want, something better for your son or daughter than you did. Or perhaps you're a parent who just values your child's education and you want to set them up for success. If you're a parent who is also prepared to invest time, energy and money to help your child to achieve the top GCSE grades. And if you're perhaps just a parent looking for a clear and actionable plan to help your child or teenager stay motivated and maybe even start enjoying maths, then this training is for you. So I'm going to quickly run through what we're actually going to learn in this training. So I've broken it down into 3 key steps or goals. Number 1, we're going to locate those gaps which are preventing your son or daughter from hitting those top grades. Then we're going to go back and teach these topics. This is going to give your son or daughter the confidence to actually master these basic concepts. And this is something that schools can't do because of time constraints. There's 29 other children in the class, or they've got to follow the curriculum for whatever year your kid is in. Second step, I'm going to show you how to accelerate and grasp key topics I sometimes call hidden gems, which are needed to actually get grade 6 or higher. And these harder concepts open the doors to questions which start making school lessons make more sense. So you get this double whammy of getting the benefit from tutoring, but also understanding the lessons at school better. So you're actually grasping the concepts which will get you higher marks. Then the third step or goal is to challenge your child by pushing him or her outside their comfort zone. Now, this is actually really, really important because this is what most successful people do. When they hit their comfort zone, they learn that this is a good place to be because this is where the good things start to happen. And for your son or daughter, this is where they're going to be learning the good stuff that's going to get them onto the higher grades. And it's something that, in actual fact, many tutors don't want to do because they want to keep the parents happy. And it's something that I have to train my tutors to do to make sure that it happens. So what that means is when your kid is being pushed outside their comfort zone and they reach out to us, then we'll acknowledge that so that this becomes an okay thing, a thing that they do before they get a reward of success. So that's what we're going to learn today. But before we actually go into the training, let's agree It's no good being around distractions, with all these things that we have in the background nowadays. So let's switch off Netflix and put down our iPhone, because your teenager only gets one shot at this. So if I promise you to show you in this training how to help your child get a maths GCSE grade of 6, 7, 8 or 9, that you're actually going to take action on what I share. And if that means that you get your child to watch this training, if your child isn't already here, if he is, that or she is, that's great. And if you're the teenager and you're here as well, that's fantastic. I'm going to talk to both of you. But if it means that you just agree that you're going to go away and just have a go at implementing the steps that I'm outlining, that's great, so long as you agree to take action. Or if you actually want help, I can show you how we might be able to help you with one of our student offerings. But I'll show you that and tell you all about that at the end. I want to show you that committing to a little step, however small, is going to make a start in tackling this problem. So maybe you're wondering why perhaps your child isn't seeing the progress you want, or maybe your son or daughter just gets frustrated with maths problems or tearful when help isn't at hand. Perhaps it's got to the point where maths homework is left to the last minute or ignored for as long as possible and rushed and probably all done wrong. So how's finding time in your busy schedule to help yourself working? Like me, you've probably got a busy working day and then life and family just get in the way. Or perhaps you feel that you can't help because you found maths a challenge when you were at school and you just want better for your son or daughter. Perhaps you've even heard yourself say, I don't do maths. So possibly you've found time to help yourself, but that's not worked out too well either. Maybe you found yourself wasting your time and energy and not getting much maths done. Some parents even come to me having tried a tutor and still not seen any results or improvements. Look, whatever is preventing your teenager achieving the grades you want them to get, there's usually a reason why. It comes down to just a few things. A lot of students, a lot of teenagers just rely on the school teacher. And because they rely on the school teacher, they get one point of view. They only get that one perspective. Well, let's think about top athletes. My son's into basketball, so let's take Michael Jordan. He had his Chicago Bulls coach, Phil Jackson, who was essentially his teacher. But Michael Jordan wanted to become the best. So he went and hired a coach in each of the departments that he needed to help him skyrocket. And the other players in that generation didn't do that. They do now because they've realised that that's what it takes to compete. So Michael Jordan, he had a training coach, he had a nutritionist, he had a mindset coach, he had everything. So students now, to reach the top grades, they don't rely on their school teacher because they know that's what amateurs do. So, we need to be aware that things are just so much more competitive out there now. When I was young, doing my GCSEs, they still had typing pools. Now we've got countries like China and India with huge growing middle classes who our children have to compete against. So some parents and some teenagers have cottoned on to the thinking that they need to think like these elite athletes. So it's pretty much the main reason why these problems exist, because many children just rely on that one-dimensional approach of their school teacher. And school teachers have got a lot of kids to work with. They can't individualise they can't specialise. And they're experts at teaching, not tutoring. So as soon as you escape this paradigm, you can watch your child's grades skyrocket. Secondly is the winning environment. And what I mean by this is it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't have other people around you who want to get to the top of the same mountain, if you like, then there's always going to be times when you feel demotivated. There's always going to be times when you don't want to put in that extra day of study, or perhaps you're finding it hard because you're missing the enjoyment factor. Okay, so look at this. This is the New Zealand rugby team. They're known as the All Blacks. So they're one of the most influential sports teams on the planet. Now, individually, they're not the best players. But when they come together, the standards raise. They put on the all black jersey and all of a sudden they're extremely hard to beat. So what we see is a lot of students going out and getting a one-to-one tutor. Well, they're still isolated. It's pretty much like trying to send your child to climb Mount Everest on their own, because that's what it's like trying to get a grade 8 or 9. It's like trying to get up Mount Everest. So could you even do that on your own? So the one-to-one model, it can be isolating, and having to find your own motivation and rely on your own standards, it's very hard, and every distraction, it's just going to become amplified because you're now on your own. Actually, I explained a little while ago, I used to run lots of tuition centres for over a decade. I used to employ lots of tutors, and I very quickly found out that teachers who wanted to do one-to-one, they were really hard to motivate. In fact, I actually stopped employing them. So here's the thing. In a team or group, we thrive, we motivate each other. I want you to have motivated tutors. One-to-one's too easy. When I did it, I didn't have to try. And what I found when I found teachers who wanted to do one-to-one, they actually just wanted something easy to do in the evenings to earn a little bit of extra money after a hard day at school. Or you could actually find what I call the winning environment, the winning team. The most successful people on the planet know that this is the key to success. And this is fundamental in absolutely crushing your GCSE maths exams. Find the winning environment. Don't become that lone wolf, because the tribe always survives. So the next one is study books and homework. It sort of includes those online computerized programs that your kids work through, or the worksheet-based study centres that have sprung up in some supermarkets and so forth. But there's so much information out there right now. So you've probably heard of the saying that you can work harder or you can work smarter. So working harder is the student who's going to go home before the exams start. They're going to cram in as much study as they can and work their socks off until they drop. But that's boring. It's time consuming. You don't know if you're focusing on the best things and getting the best out of the time you've spent. And most teenagers who try this and lock themselves away in their bedrooms waste loads of time studying the things that they already know. Think about someone who wants to lose weight. Right, so many people have tried and failed this. And there's loads of free diet plans and ways to lose weight out there. So surely it should be easy. So why do they fail? It's not because there isn't ways of doing it. It's because it's just hard to stay committed. So it's the same with students. When it comes to work, There's tons of free courses and material out there that you can download and you can just study harder. But, if that was all it took, everyone would be doing it. Can you see the problem with this method is it can often result in burnout or stress with little progress. So the last one is going out and finding your own tutor. And sometimes this works, absolutely. But here's the thing. There's lots of people out there who are calling themselves tutors, who are perhaps teachers. They don't really know the difference between teaching and tutoring, or they're university undergraduates who are looking to supplement their income. They don't necessarily have the experience or knowledge of how to make tutoring work and how to really get to grips with what the students need. And, I'm going to be honest, I've been doing this for well over 14 years and I didn't know how to do it when I started, and I learnt the hard way. So these are the 4 areas you might want to consider and possibly escape from. But I want to tell you a little bit about me. So my name's Luke Scrutton, and here I am. You can actually read the facts on the page, but what I want to tell you is that I love helping parents who are desperate for their sons and daughters to get the GCSE grades they know they can. After working with thousands and thousands of teenagers just like yours, I know you're struggling, frustrated, and feeling like perhaps a failure when it comes to helping with maths GCSEs and getting those top grades. So let's meet Jade. When I met her, she was working at a grade 3, and the first thing she said to me was, "I don't do maths." She realised very quickly with me that she could do maths when we took time to break down the concepts. She got back onto the higher paper and she got a grade 7. Jade is one of hundreds of kids who this programme has worked for, and she was introduced to my GCSE Boost method. Now, it's really broken down into 3 areas, and I'm going to be sharing with you the strategy, the actual steps, but as we just pointed out a second ago, strategy alone doesn't work. So just what I'm going to share with you, it's not just a strategy. It's a new way of learning that I've developed from years of experience, sometimes doing it the wrong way so that you don't have to. It's my 3-way approach. So think of it like this. It's like a platform that you need to hold up in the air. That's the platform there with the trophy on in the middle. That's your grade 6, 7, 8 or 9 for your GCSE maths, the one you want, right? Now, the platform, it needs to be supported and it needs 3 pillars, otherwise it's going to topple over. And that would be failure, and failure isn't going to work for you, right? So, the way we support that, it's with good learning habits, it's with the right strategy, and it's with the right environment. The reason why most students fail to get the top grades at GCSE for their maths is that they only have 1 or 2 of these pillars that support their trophy. And that's the GCSE Boost strategy, which we spoke about, and that I'm going to share with you right now. So that's how to achieve success once you've got these pillars in place. And that's what Michael Jordan did. He used the Chicago Bulls teammates. He was never isolated. He was never alone. He then brought in people to train him on the right habits so you could implement the strategy that was given to him by his coaches. And it can all be applied by your child to help get the GCSE grades that you know that they can achieve. Okay, so grab a pen and paper because I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So do make some notes, and then I've got something for you at the end. So if you stick around, I think you're absolutely going to love what I'm going to show you. And you can actually go away and implement that right away. What we're going to do is walk through it right now just for you. So take some quick notes. So step one, or pillar one, I call locate. So whilst most teenagers are tested frequently at school, teachers don't have the time to go back over concepts and topics that need covering. So if your teenager has missed something important, there might not be much help to catch up. So teenagers then start studying everything to try and understand what it is they're missing. And it can be like a shotgun approach. Or, more likely, they get frustrated or tearful and start avoiding homework. The problem is that most kids don't know what topics they've missed or not understood fully. And school's testing them on this year's work, not what they did last year or during lockdown or when they were poorly. And just imagine the amount of testing that schools might have to do if they were going to test everything just to find that one thing that's holding them back this week. But the thing is, schools continue to move on through the curriculum because that's what they do, that's what they've got to do. So it becomes a bit like trying to build a Jenga tower. When you've got missing pieces at the bottom, it all becomes awfully unstable and difficult for the kids to learn the maths concepts that they need. So what your child really needs is someone who can make sure the basic concepts are secure. You can identify the key knowledge gaps when you have the topics mapped out with all the concepts that teenagers need to support each topic that they're going to learn this year. So when a problem topic is identified, we know exactly which concepts we need to check and hone in on to make sure that they understand. And the great thing is, we can go back and teach these concepts, and it doesn't take long because they're usually easier concepts than they're studying at the moment. But when they're learned, the new topics fall into place and stop being a challenge. So just like the girl putting back the Jenga pieces into her tower, it's going to make things more stable. This strategy allows your teenager to learn the concepts that she or he is grappling with at school now. So the next step or pillar is accelerate. So schools have a curriculum to follow, which means that they have to do things in a restrictive order. This means they can't focus on a topic that your son or daughter needs, a topic that might be really important because they have to get through everything. So how does your teenager get ahead if you can't go over the key topics your child needs now? For example, the ones he or she didn't understand because the basics weren't in place. And the other thing that happens in school is that your child just masters one topic and then school throws in something new or unrelated because they've got to move through that curriculum. So they're never in front of the game. You're never ahead of the game. Imagine trying to find your way out of a maze that you've seen for the first time. You don't know which way to turn. So it's going to take you longer to find the exit. So what if your child was able to learn topics ahead of time? So when these topics were covered in school, you're ahead of things and it just clicks immediately. How about jumping straight to the important topics that open the doors to harder strategies and concepts so your child can earn even more points in exams? So that's what the students who get ahead do. They get to see what's on the other side of the maze ahead of time. They get to learn the material in advance, or the topics, or we focus on what I call the hidden gems, topics the kids earn points for and which open the doors to harder questions and concepts. You can think of this like team sports as well. For example, if a sports team has got a certain match or fixture coming up in the list, and the managers, what they do is they go out and study the opposition. They watch videos and get to understand the tactics that they use and the tactics that they might use themselves to counter that. Because once they know that, they can get ahead. And this is just like us getting ahead by learning the hidden gems or learning the topics before they're taught at school so that your kids can actually really access the harder work in lesson. The third and final piece of the jigsaw is called challenge. This is the step where we're going to really push your teenager to get those higher grades. Have you ever heard a parent saying, "My child isn't challenged at school"? This is certainly true of many bright kids who get restless when work is too easy. And it's easy to see that with these kids. What we don't see much are the children who are happy to be within their little comfort zones. What happens when you push these kids? Surprisingly, many bright kids who are doing quite well, getting good grades, will crumble because they're preferring to stay within their little comfort zones. But if what matters most is progress and retention and getting those grades, does your child need challenging? So I'd like to ask you that very question. What do successful people do when challenged and they find themselves outside their comfort zone? Do they quit? Or do they take stock, ask for help, and move forward? Imagine trying to lose weight, but you just keep eating the same things as always. Now, there's loads of diet plans out there, and you know it's not going to work. You've got to try something new, but it's hard, right? And this is where you have to change habits. So what teenagers really need to get the highest grades and become successful adults is to get used to being outside their comfort zone. That's when good progress and learning happens. We can do this by learning topics and concepts children find hard, which pushes him or her outside of their comfort zone. But it's important to acknowledge when this happens, not because we're going to take the pressure off, because we want them to learn to deal with it and to improve. This helps build confidence and resilience. So while your child learns maths, they also learn to expect success and become more exam ready and resilient to those exam questions that are going to challenge them. Think about it like this. If you were going to jump into a cold swimming pool, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. But once you've been exposed to the water often enough and spent more time inside, it's no longer such a challenge. Stepping outside your comfort zone, learning maths, is a little like this. And it helps get rid of exam anxiety as well, so kids feel okay that they can deal with questions that appear challenging, so they can start picking up marks on the hardest of questions. So here's a quick recap of what we went through. First is locate. You need to identify the knowledge gaps in your child's learning so you can work smart. By focusing on what's slowing maths down, we can build up that strong base of concepts, rather similar to the Jenga tower being built on a strong foundation. Next up is accelerate. We're going to get ahead by focusing on what I call the hidden gems, topics that score points and open the doors to concepts needed for the highest grades. We're going to get ahead so the next topic studied in school isn't like a maze, so your son or daughter gets it from the start and is able to understand the hardest parts of the topic. The last step is challenge. This is where we will learn the habits of successful people. By repeatedly stepping outside our comfort zone and acknowledging their wins and success, we build resilience and exam readiness. So meet Georgia. She was aiming for top grades in all her other subjects and wanted to go to a really good university, but was projected a grade 1 for maths. Her favourite phase was, "I can't do it," but quickly started saying, "Can you help me?" It's a subtle change, but important because she'd started believing in herself. Georgia continued to improve and got a grade 6. But what I want to do right now is congratulate you for actually making it this far. Because you've watched this far shows me that you're either a student who's really motivated to do well, or a parent who needs to find a better way to help your child out. So what I want to do now is bring us back to the agreement that we had at the start. You'll remember you made a commitment to take an action, and there's all sorts of different actions you can take. But if you don't take any action, then nothing's going to change, which is why you wanted to watch this video, right? But the real action, just like the students you saw on the page earlier in the training, decided to take things into their own hands and use a proven framework and expert help so they could avoid mistakes, because they saw that they had one shot at this, at getting these really high GCSE maths grades. Just like Michael Jordan did when he wanted to become the best. So let's actually have a serious chat about how your child, or if you're the teenager, you can start getting guidance and help to get the highest GCSE grades. So you can get into your dream college or university, so you can focus on the skills and concepts and work smart with the framework that the GCSE Boost method gives you. If it makes sense, we can talk about what it would look like to potentially work together. Now, if I can show you that I can help, I'm going to be 100% committed to you. My tutors are going to be 100% committed to you. So that's what I expect back from all my students. So there's two choices. One is guesswork, which I know you're probably not into as you wouldn't be watching this training. And then there's the proven framework, which means that all our work can be focused in the right places. And what do these three guys here have in common? Well, Michael Jordan, we've talked about, is probably the best basketball player ever to live. Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world with his Amazon company. And of course, J.K. Rowling. Well, Harry Potter is one of my family favourites, but I probably should mention that it's a tremendously successful franchise now. So like these guys, I like to follow proven frameworks each and every single time because I know it works. These guys don't just guess their way to success. Yeah, they work hard, but they don't rely on hard work. They find what works and then work hard on that. So they've got that in common, and they're at the top of their games. Wouldn't you like to have a proven framework? And if that's what you want to do, you might have already booked in to speak to me. And if you have, I can't wait to have a chat about how I can help you. We'll go through what the GCSE Boost method can do and build out a unique plan. And we'll have a look at what it would look like for you personally. If you haven't yet booked in, down below this video somewhere, if you're watching it on my Facebook group, maybe you're watching it on my website somewhere, wherever it is you're watching it, there might be a button somewhere around, probably down below. Just click it and you'll just be able to book a student success session with me. If you have clicked it, you'll see a screen a little like this one. Okay, just find a date and time convenient for you, click it to book it, and then what I will do is I will reach out to you to confirm. When I do reach out to confirm, please make sure you reply because we get a lot of these bookings in and I have super limited places to do them. So we want to sort out who is committed. So I want to make sure you're in there. So we just need you to respond to that message to confirm your child's spot. These places are limited. We only take on a handful of students who are committed. So we're going to want to confirm your slot. I am looking forward to speaking to you, so if you've booked in already, I can't wait to have a chat. If you haven't, look down below to get booked in now. Watch out for that message to confirm your spot, and we'll speak soon. And I know attending this training shows me that you want to take action, and action takers who I really love working with. Parents who really care about getting a good education for your child. But if you're the teenager, getting a good education for yourself. So I'm super excited and looking forward to helping you reach your success in the future.